Would you like to learn how to create genuine financial freedom? Today, I'm really excited to introduce you to Peter Crone in his incredibly powerful Financial Freedom Workshop. Over 4 sessions, Peter helped me to discover how I was sabotaging myself financially, and he handed me the keys to my freedom. If you're ready to break free from your financial prisons, join me. If you're not familiar, Peter Crone helps people expand their health, wealth, and relationships at a deep and lasting level. He offers workshops, a 3-month mastermind, high-level coaching, and a membership to all of his teachings. If you're new to Peter, let me give you a crash course. He goes pretty deep. If you want to get to the root of your money problems, actually, you know what? Scratch that. If you want to get to the root of all of your problems, I think you'll like his workshop. Originally recorded live, Peter presents to a few hundred people on a Zoom call. There's 4 sessions total, and the idea is that he presents the lessons first, and then he works with people one-on-one to help them integrate the lessons. It's kind of like watching a therapist work with a client in real time, only the therapist is also a magician. Now, what I mean by that is that most of the people on the call have been struggling with their finances for decades, but Peter helps them discover freedom within minutes. I really love this format because as he works with each person, it's like looking into a mirror, reflecting back to me all of my financial limitations. Plus, it's really comforting to know that I'm not alone. Now, I first discovered Peter several years ago when I was at the lowest point of my life. I was struggling with debilitating anxiety. I was extremely unhappy and quite lonely. But when I heard Peter for the first time on the Aubrey Marcus podcast, I had hope for the first time in a very long time. I was so impressed with what I heard that I spent the next couple of years listening and absorbing his teachings. I started with the free podcast interviews, then I worked my way into some workshops, and then I eventually graduated the Mastermind. Shout out to Mastermind 1, by the way. Thanks to Peter, I learned how to reduce my anxiety. I learned how to heal my relationships, and most important to me, I learned how to create genuine, lasting happiness. Now, running parallel to all of this, I had been splitting my money for a couple of years. My debt was long gone, my accounts were full, and thanks to the Big Split method, I was in the best financial position of my life. On the surface, things looked pretty great, but the truth was, I had hit a wall and I wasn't sure why. And that's when Peter announced his Financial Freedom Workshop. I spent most of my life worrying that there was never enough. So I hustled to make more. I learned how to save. I learned how to build emergency funds. I got my money working for me. I improved my spending habits. I did all of the things. And even though I finally had money, it wasn't enough. And that's when Peter reflected back to me one of my blind spots. In his words, most people think they have to change their circumstances to elicit the experience that they want. No. You shift you, and then your circumstances will adjust. It was so simple. When I try to fix the external, I stay stuck. But when I address the internal, I liberate myself. As I began to look inward, I realized that my financial beliefs had developed when I was a little boy. It's silly to look back and think that I was still holding on to these beliefs that were no longer true for me. So when I realized this, I started to look at and get clear with all of the thoughts and beliefs that developed when I was a child, because these things were no longer true. And I started to learn how to let them go and replace them with more productive financial habits. Now, if you want to see that process, how I did that, check out this 4-part series. Thanks to the workshop, I made more progress in 1 month by addressing what was going on inside than I had in 10 years by trying to fix what was going on out there. And that brings us to the second major benefit. In Peter's words, if you think your freedom is dictated by your finances, then you're unfree. Let me say that again. If you think your freedom is dictated by your finances, then you're not free. I had just spent 5 years doing the work, taking responsibility for my life and my choices, and I thought I was in a great place. But Peter's words were like a smack to the face, waking me up to reality. When it came to finances, I was still a victim. My pursuit for more was the prison, and I hadn't been free for a very long time. From 15 to 38, I was so terrified that there wasn't going to be enough that I constantly chased more, often turning down social invites and time with loved ones. I was allowing the number in my account, or lack thereof, to dictate how I was living my life. And that's when Peter dropped another truth. The most successful people I know have no focus on finance. They focus on qualities of existence, their own true freedom, their own true peace, their own true inner sense of worth. His words helped me realize that I was chasing things that were draining my joy. I was focused on pop culture's idea of success instead of my own. To me, true success is a calm nervous system. It's a clear mind and a healthy body. It's being able to create and contribute to others and to spend time with my loved ones. I was doing none of that because I was too busy chasing more. And that's when Peter handed me the keys to free myself. After watching Peter work with multiple people, I realized that I had been buried under a mountain of financial baggage that I had been accumulating for decades. But as I began to remove each piece, I shifted away from being a victim. I went from being under the pile to clearing the pile. And that shift in perspective freed me up to create a new, healthier relationship with money. If you had enough, how would you spend your time? And if you were free from financial stress and worry, how would you feel? As Peter asked these questions, I realized that I had never considered these possibilities. What would I do if I had plenty? How would I feel if I was free from financial stress and worry? I'd feel lighter, more relaxed. I'd create and contribute more and spend more time with friends. And all of that sounds so much better than hustling for more. For me, the third and most important benefit of the workshop was when Peter invited me to shift my perspective and to look at my finances and my life through new eyes. He encouraged me to get curious about what becomes possible once I'm free from my financial baggage. And now, everywhere I look, I see possibility. And to me, that's worth more than gold. One of the coolest things about the workshop is that once Peter smacks you with a couple hard truths, he then gives you several wonderful gifts. In addition to the 3 that I mentioned above, the workshop also helped me to break free from 3 decades of financial worry, to be more relaxed and confident with money, and to break free from thinking and feeling that there's not enough. If you'd like to be free from financial worry, to feel more confident and at ease with your finances, or to take them to the next level, I think you'll derive a lot of value from Peter Crone's Financial Freedom Workshop. You can purchase it directly from his website for a one-time fee, or subscribe to his Freedom membership. That'll give you access to a ton of other workshops and his wonderful community. Peter, thank you so much for your discipline and your dedication. Thank you for choosing to show up for you and for sharing what you've learned along the way. You are a brilliant bright light for so many of my friends and family, and you lit a spark within me that I'm forever grateful for. Thank you. And to you, the viewer, thank you for your time and energy. If you know anyone that can benefit from this video, it would mean the world to me if you shared it with them. And if you have any thoughts or questions, please feel free to leave a comment, like or subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.